to talk about the viral sensation going on online right now. And have you heard of Alexee is her name Trevizo? For I don't even know how to say her last name. We're just gonna call her
with it.
Alexee Trevizo, okay? I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. She is the teenage girl who threw her baby away in a hospital trash can. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
So while we were on vacation...
Disgusting, though. Is that real?
It is real, 100% real.
Oh, my God.
So while we were on vacation, I saw it blowing up. Like, I randomly checked my phone, and it was blowing up online, and I knew I had to cover it when we came back because it is horrible. And I have so many questions, okay? So, Alexee is a 19-year-old cheerleader, part of the choir, honor student. I think her lawyer...
Oh, man, I can already tell you this is a
shame. Her lawyer said she had a 3.8 GPA, was committed to going to is committed to going to New Mexico State University. She has not a single infraction on her school record, a traffic ticket, criminal history, nothing. Nothing. Literally like a perfect child, a little angel.
Which makes this less surprising for me.
Agreed.
This is the shame that the U.S. is known for, that we have been talking about and worried is coming back because of how society is going around sex.
We're going to get more to our questions and opinions at the end. Let's talk about what happened. So, it's January 26th, earlier this year, 2023, and it's late at night, and she's trying to go to bed. Okay, Alexee's trying to go to bed, but she has horrible back pain. She's having really bad lower back pain. Any position she tries to get in, it won't go away, so she goes and tells her mom, and, her mom tries to help her. Nothing's working, so they go to the ER.
Okay.
They go to the ER, and this is her second trip, apparently, in the past couple months. Like, it's been a couple months, and this is the second time for back pain. She tells the doctor that she's at a 10 out of 10 in pain. And the doctor says she's really fidgety and won't let her touch her. She will not allow the doctor to, feel around or touch her in any way. Like, normally when you go to a doctor and you're having pain or something, they want to look at it, they want to touch it. She will not let them. So
that's how they gauge how bad things are.
Yes.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, she's a young woman. She's of the age where she could be having sex.
Sure.
And when you go to the ER, they always do a pregnancy test and ask you if you could be pregnant. I mean, anytime you go to the doctor for a woman, they ask you that, or a female. So they ask her and she says, no, there's no way I'm pregnant. And I'm a virgin. And take birth control.
Wait, what?
Okay, that is not a rise for concern because
no,
you can take
not
birth
a rise
control
for concern. I know.
For periods.
I get it, but that is still a flag to dig deeper.
Yeah, for sure. So
because my first question would be, okay, then what do you take the birth control for? And if she says, well, what do you mean? Of course, it's birth control. Okay,
well, so she says there's no chance of her being pregnant. Her mom says her period's always consistent and she's a virgin. They do a strip pregnancy test, a urine pregnancy test. It's positive.
But I think as long as you're older than 14, they don't tell her mom directly, right? I think, depending on the state, maybe?
18, was she 18 at the time? I think maybe she had a birthday or something, because she's 19 now. But they tell her mother and her, because her mother's in the room, and let me tell you, the dynamic between her and her mother is very strange, because looking at the way they're speaking to each other, it does not seem like this person is an adult. It seems like she's literally 15. Her mom treats her like she is a minor. And they remind them all many times that she's an adult and of age and don't need her consent. Like, that she's an adult. Like, we don't need you for anything. She's an adult. This has been told to her mom numerous times. But anyway, they tell her, and her mom's super upset and is like, why didn't you tell me? You're supposed to come to me first.
Fair.
And...
But, depending on what that dynamic is and how she's been handled and taught about sex and everything else that comes with that, I mean...
This is why I have so many questions, okay? Because I agree with you. It definitely seems off when they're saying that. But anyway, they go on to treat her, and they order a blood test. Okay. So they're like, she's still claiming very consistently... and aggressively that she's a virgin and that she can't be pregnant, even after they say your urine test was positive. Okay. And that she's never had sex. There's no way. So I guess she's like the Virgin Mary over here. But anyway, they order the blood test and they decide to treat her for her pain, and they give her morphine and like Zofran and like for nausea and some other things. And then... It's around 1:38 a.m., I think, and she suddenly says she has to go to the bathroom, and, like, urgently. We literally have security camera footage of the hospital of her running down the hallway, holding her butt, like, full-on gripping her butt, running down the hallway to the bathroom. And she is in there for 20 minutes. Her mom goes and checks on her and is like, hey, like, what's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, oh, my stomach hurts, whatever. And then her mom goes back. Her mom checks on her twice. Nurses numerous times go up to the door, knock on it, say, you doing okay? Well, it gets to the point where she's not responding, and they hear toilet flush, paper towel dispenser, and then like a pause, and then toilet flush, paper towel dispenser. Like, it's like this pattern of constant flushing, constant paper towels, and the sink running and stuff. And it gets to the 20-minute mark, and they're like, we got to figure out what's going on in this bathroom. So they run in, they're knocking, the nurse is knocking, there's another nurse going to get keys, and they're about to open the door, and suddenly she opens the door, and they said she looked dazed, like she didn't seem quite right, and they're like, what's going on, and she's like, I just had my period, and then she walks out, and the nurse sees the bathroom, and it is covered in blood. There's blood everywhere. Over the walls, like it had been spurted. Like someone had literally cut open a vein and it squirted. It's on the walls, it's on the floor, it's on the toilet, it's on the sink, it's on everything. And they said it did kind of look like she had tried to like clean it up a little bit, and it's smeared.
Clearly no one taught her anything. You can't birth a child on your own. There's an afterbirth. There's cutting the cord. There's making sure everything's clean and taken care of for you to be able to heal.
Right, like the placenta has to fully come out. If there's any fragment of the placenta in you, you can get an infection and die.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm just thinking, not even taking into account the child. I'm just thinking what she could be thinking personally. Yeah. Like, that's not something you can ever do by yourself.
You shouldn't be. You should be getting checked by a medical professional.
Should. You have to.
You have to.
Period.
For your own personal health. And the baby. Like, the baby's super important. But yes, you're right. So, apparently, the blood is thick. Like, it's viscous. It's thick blood. So it was a lot. They said it even smelled of blood, like it was pungent.
Smelled like birth.
Yeah, and if you have never had a child or have been in the room when someone else is having a child, it's a smell.
There's
like
just
it's a very human
smell.
It's not nasty. It's like a very human smell. So the nurse, asked what happened. She said she had a period, and they're thinking she just had a miscarriage. And I'm thinking in my head, dude, I know tons of people who've had miscarriages. I've never personally had one. It just all went in the toilet. Like, there was not blood squirted on walls. That still doesn't make sense to me, and I'm a little concerned why they did not search the bathroom, because that would have been my thought. This woman's hiding a pregnancy from her mother, and it looks like a massacre just happened in here, but she has no injuries. That is not just a miscarriage. That is my first thought. Is it not yours? Like, that doesn't seem like that's possible for you to have a miscarriage and get blood squirted all over the walls. Yeah, How would that happen?
I don't think most people would go to the worst case possible outcome in real life. It's really easy to not be in a scenario and jump to the worst case. But then when, life is much different in person than it is separated from the situation, thinking on it as an outsider. When you're in person, we tend to be more optimistic. Humans do. People do. We tend to be more optimistic in real life in person. So I don't know what I would do. I would probably be shocked, and I probably wouldn't be able to put all the pieces together at first. I would be like, oh my God, are you okay? Because you have a living person in front of you. Their focus could have just been her. You know what I mean? Like, are you okay? Are you sure? Are this, or that, or whatever? And I'm sure it would come around where they're like, wait, something is that just on the roof, on the walls? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Super weird. But another weird thing is during this entire thing, she is never emotional in any way.
I mean,
she is
okay. You got to remember she's on morphine. Okay,
true. But the only emotion that she ever displays during any of this whole situation, even after all of this and going on, is fear. Even way after. Yeah, it's only fear. Sure. It's never sadness. It's never like upset. She's like sitting there meek the whole time, like quiet and scared. So anyway, let's continue a little bit.
Well, just in line with that thought, though. So anybody that's been involved with a pregnancy, whether it's a guy, a parent, a close friend, your own, whatever, when you're pregnant, things can go, they always go crazy. They always go wonky. The amount of hormones that are running through people. We've seen women go completely crazy, disconnected, feel like the baby is not even part of them. But then you also see people who are like over the top, too happy to be pregnant. You know what I mean? So like what you're saying doesn't shock me. It's not like I look at the situation and expect to see some kind of emotional connection. You have a kid who doesn't have a fully formed frontal lobe, and clearly a parent that has some kind of weird bond going on with her kid where she's not letting her kid be an adult and hasn't helped her separate and split from her. And clearly you have a kid who doesn't have any knowledge of pregnancy. Otherwise she wouldn't have done that, because she's not only risking the life of a child, but she's risking her own.
Yeah, I think she did have knowledge, but let's get into more of that analysis after this. I think she would have if she wanted to hide it really badly.
What, play Russian roulette?
Yeah.
With her own self?
Yeah, but I think if you, say, pull out a placenta and you see that it looks intact, like, you may not be freaking out, or she may be thinking,
18-year-old?
Well, maybe it can just come out, like, on its own eventually, which they can. So, anyway, she goes back in the room. She leaves bloody footprints down the hallway behind her, because that's how much blood was in the bathroom. And the doctor, comes in and is like, oh my God, like, are you okay? We need to do a vaginal exam, like, trying to take care of her, concerned of her health. Her mom, is like, why didn't you tell me still? And scolding her. And she's literally still claiming, because they don't have confirmation of the baby yet, that she's a virgin. She's still holding on to that. No, I'm not pregnant. I didn't have a miscarriage. I'm a virgin. So the doctor is concerned of her health, wants to do a vaginal exam to see what's going on. Blood is literally running down her legs and puddling on the floor next to the exam table.
5150-er. That's what they need to do.
And they start
How's that,
suctioning
doctor?
away the blood and trying to clean it up and call the house cleaning lady like, hey, we got a room covered in blood. The bathroom's covered in blood. We need you to come clean it up because it's a biohazard and it's
Sure.
going down the hall. So she comes. Apparently another nurse that wasn't directly involved, heard of the incident and walked by the bathroom to see and saw it and was so shocked by it and the smell and all of it that she took pictures and later turned them into the police. Now those are secret, like we're not allowed to see them. They're not posted online. But I thought that was an interesting account. They have actually released all of the nurses, like the interviews with all the staff. Like you can go watch them on YouTube. I won't be playing them here, but maybe later on if we look into it more, we can watch it on live stream. Maybe. But anyway, so she starts mopping up the bloody footprints in the hallway and then moves to the bathroom and starts cleaning all of that up. She picks up the trash can to set it outside to change it later and notices it's a bit heavy. Like, the trash can feels heavier than normal. Like, you know, you go to pick something up and you expect it to be one weight. Like, it's just a bunch of paper towels, so you expect it to be super light. But it's like, she notices it's heavy. She sets it outside the bathroom. She finishes up what she's doing and then goes to change the trash and sees something in the bottom, and it is the baby. And she said it was blue. And she screamed for nurses. Like, this is super traumatic for all of them. You see that in the interviews, that all of the staff there, especially the housekeeper who found it, it was very upsetting.
Absolutely,
super
that's a
upsetting.
human being, dude. She birthed it.
Yeah. So they immediately, they go and rush and get the doctor out of her room. The doctor's in there, helping her, and they're like, come out here. And they keep it a secret from her that they know what's going on. And they're like, the baby's in the trash, and the doctor runs, and they are like, get it in trauma 2 now. And they go in there to try to save it, and they can't. It's blue. It's dead and been dead. Like, it's been sitting there for a minute. So that's just horrible. But apparently the nurse said when she picked it up that the bag was suctioned to the face. Like it had, when someone suffocates with a bag over their head, if you've seen on a TV show, it was sucked to the baby's face.
Oh my gosh.
Which is important. I know that is horrific to think about, and trigger warning for that. I should have said it before, but that's important.
It is important
to determine if the baby was alive before it was put in the bag.
No, you're right. You're right.
So,
but they would be able to tell that anyways. They would be able to tell if there's oxygen in the baby's lungs.
Yes, you're right. They can tell that. So they try to save it. It's cold to the touch. It's blue. They said there was still mucus and blood on it, and the umbilical cord was frayed. Like it was still attached. It was still attached to the belly of the baby, but then the other end that would have been attached to the placenta, the mother, was frayed like string cheese. Like it had been ripped and torn. And I watched some of the interviews, and the police were like, what do you think she did with the placenta? Like, because when they go on to further examine her, they're like, there is no placenta left in her. She got it all out by herself, and ripped the umbilical cord in half or chewed it or something. Like, she somehow, without scissors or a clamp, cut that thing, ripped it, something. But yeah, they think, I heard one of the nurses thinking maybe she was ripping the placenta in pieces and stuffing it in the toilet and flushing it, and that's what all that noise was her flushing pieces of her placenta.
That is so gnarly.
Yeah, so it is, and thinking of like a young woman who's never given birth before doing all that by herself in the bathroom in 20 minutes? Pushing a baby out and doing all of that in 20 minutes? Like,
unfortunately, she has to be held accountable for this, man.
Absolutely she does. And so they keep it a secret from her. They lock down the entire hospital and don't let anybody in or out. And they're like, we can't tell her until the police get here. So they call the police. The police come. The nurses inform them that it is a full-term baby. This baby was full-term, 9 months. And they go in the room, the doctor, a nurse, and a police officer, and say, hey, we discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. And I want to read you the conversation that happened after they said that. The mom says, she goes, oh my gosh. You know, like, and she's got real emotion there. Like, she's like, whoa. And Alexee's like, I'm sorry. He came out of me and I didn't know what to do. That was her response. And her mom was like, and her name is Rosa, said, Alexee, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth. And then the mom stands up and is like pressing her hands to her head and is like, oh my God, you know, she's like freaking out. And then her mom looks back at her and is like, what did you do to it? To the baby. And then the doctor is like, okay, stop right there, stop. Number one priority is she just gave birth to a baby, and I don't know if she still has the placenta in her. She's bleeding significantly. Like, we got to take care of her. Like, the baby's dead, she's bleeding, we got problems. Like, we got to take care of her. And Alexee says that she's like scared and it wasn't breathing, and she never refers to it as a baby. She always calls it an it. Yeah. That is how she, which I don't know if that's significant or not, because I don't think that's that uncommon. Like, she's already disconnected. Yeah. Otherwise this wouldn't have happened. Exactly. So that's not that surprising. People were speculating if the mom had suspicions or already kind of knew what was going on because of her reaction. Maybe we should play a clip of it, because it is kind of weird. She said she already told her about this and what could happen. Alexee, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth. Yeah, I mean, she was asking her to tell her the truth about pregnancy. What did you... Not assuming that she had a baby. Yeah, but, okay, later on, I feel like this becomes a little bit more clear what I'm getting at. So, I kind of think her mom had some kind of inkling. I think she did. Then they would both be crazy not to bring it up. I think her mom is legit crazy. But the doctor recommends that she be transferred to Lovelace Hospital, where there's an obstetrics unit that can actually handle her, like labor and delivery, like, you know, like what is it called? I can't even remember. Something like that. An OB doctor, so they can actually check to see if the placenta's there and get her the care that she needs. And she said, and I'm really sorry about this, but you had a baby and tried to hide it, so the police have to be involved now. Yeah. So the mom asks how big was the baby, and the nurse says full term. And then Rosa looks at Alexee and says, what, 9 months? Lexi, have you watched the news of what they've done to their babies and they go to jail? What? Yeah, that's her reaction. She says, what, 9 months? Have you watched the news and seen what these girls do to their babies and they go to jail? And then Alexee said it wasn't crying. And then the mom cries and is super upset. And Alexee's scared but still has like no emotion. Rosa asks Lexi if it came out in the toilet. So she starts asking her like what exactly happened. And she said, yes, it wasn't crying. She said, you put it in the bag. And this is right after there was like, so this is body cam footage of the officer standing in there. Okay. And this is where you can watch this online. But there was like a little section where the audio cuts out. And then after that, she's like, so it came out in the toilet. She's like, yeah, it wasn't crying. She said, and you put it in the bag? And she said, yeah. And she said, what bag? A trash bag. And Alexee says she feels scared, and Arosa kind of starts flipping on her and turning on her and is like, why didn't you tell us? Do you want to get in trouble for this? Like, the officer is standing right there. Like it's almost like she's bribing her, threatening her, like you need to tell me the truth or you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
she's already in trouble.
That's crazy.
Like, she's going to jail.
This is wild.
It's really weird.
Jail or a mental institution. There's something wrong here, okay? And she's still at an age where she has growing up to do in her head. And, maybe we can turn her around to be a normal person again. Yeah. And I don't think a regular jail or prison would do that.
If I'm guessing, I think she was raised in a home where I think they might be Hispanic or have like that culture. Like, they're in New Mexico. There's a large Hispanic population there. And I know from my experience in Hispanic families, because I'm half Colombian, there is a huge emphasis on education. And like, my dad told me I wasn't allowed to date till I got out of college. Like, clearly that didn't happen. And nobody in my family actually did that. But that's what you were told. Like, you have a baby, then you're going to be kicked out and you're going to be an adult on your own. Yeah. And you have to take care of it. We're not doing it for you. Sure. You need to focus on college and your career. Yeah. And then you date after that.
Yeah. I feel like that's a super common thing in the U.S. Yeah. I heard stuff like that. I feel like everyone says that. And just to be clear, that is the wrong thing to do. So that does not help your kid be honest with you. That also doesn't help your kid actually do those things. A lot of times when you give a person strict rules, a child especially, they're going to do the opposite. Yeah. You got to give them incentive to do the right thing so they can feel the positive feelings that you get when doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're planting seeds, you're guiding. You're not trying to control and dominate a child. Yeah. You're trying
This is insane, though.
It absolutely is.
Oh, my gosh.
So the mom actually gets removed from the room.
Sure.
And,
she's 18.
Yeah, police officer has to stay with her at all times. Yep. She gets helicoptered to the other hospital, and like, the mom's in the waiting room, and she calls like the stepfather and the boyfriend and his family. And then there's an interview in the waiting room where the police officer goes up. We have body cam footage of this, and he's talking to the mom, and it's super weird. Like, it just felt really weird. That is the first actual, like, time I really felt strange when I was watching it. Like, in the beginning, it's the mom and the officer. So the officer starts asking questions, and like, he walks up and he's like, oh, you're grandma, right? Like, to the baby. Oh. And and she's
That's
like,
kind of messed up.
She's like,
I don't feel like the officer should say something like that, dude.
I don't know.
Everyone there knows it's gone. It's past.
That's kind of a good point.
How judgmental and crappy of a person could you be?
Okay, but I don't know if that's his intention, because he's hearing that a woman just had a baby and it died and it was in a trash can. Like, I don't think at that point.
That's not what he heard.
Does he know that the mom had any idea or didn't know?
I guarantee you that they called that in as a possible homicide.
I'm just wondering how much he actually knows. That's all I'm saying. But that's a good point. The whole circumstances, like, I think he would know. You're right. And I guess that's true.
That's
like,
super
going up and saying, your grandma,
shady.
It does feel a little shady.
Super shady.
But anyway,
dude.
She responds and says, no, I'm mom.
Good.
And then he's like, no, I mean, to the deceased, you are grandma. And she says, yeah, that's true. And she says, but so would she would be too, pointing at the boyfriend's mom, which feels a little weird. Like, she's trying to defer a little bit of blame. Like,
I guess.
feels guilty or shameful
really
in some way.
I'm really thrown off by that comment.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. That is really weird. I don't know why the police officer did that. I don't know why he wouldn't just say, you're Alexee's mother, correct?
That's literally the most antagonistic comment I could think of.
I'm curious if he meant it intentionally. Now you have me really thinking about that.
Yeah,
because
it's antagonizing.
when I first watched it, I thought, well, that's weird. She's like, no, I'm mom. But then I'm like, now that you're saying that, I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of him as walking up trying to antagonize, to maybe get a reaction.
And it could be intentional, okay? I'm just saying that if I was in that situation and that happened to me, I would be super offended right away.
But what if, from his perspective and his filter of life, he's thinking, she just lost her grandchild. Grandparents are usually super proud to be a grandparent, and like it would be devastating to lose a grandchild, and maybe she wants to be recognized as grandma because she just lost a grandchild.
I mean, learn some people skills, cop. You're a public servant.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, is it antagonistic or is it innocent and he didn't mean anything by it?
Ugh.
He didn't seem disrespectful in the body cam footage. He actually seemed pretty nice, I guess, but I think we should watch it on stream because I'm curious what you get from it.
Yeah. Like,
really curious now. So, anyway, she goes on, like, he asks some questions, and she says, like, he asks about her health, like, what was going on, and she's like, well, Alexee's father beat me when she was in the womb, so she had a lot of back problems, like scoliosis and hip problems, and I take her to the chiropractor, monthly to get adjusted, so, like, when she brought her to the ER, she was thinking it was that.
9 months? Dude, a chiropractor would be able to tell.
I thought that too. I was thinking, she's been going to a chiropractor her whole life, and she's pregnant, and they didn't notice for 9 months? And granted, a young athletic woman, because she's a cheerleader, they may not gain a lot of weight. She's a cheerleader.
And pregnant? What?
I told you that at the beginning. She's a cheerleader.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
how did her uniform fit?
There's some pictures floating around online, and I don't know if they're authentic or photoshopped, but there's pictures of her, like, cheering in, like, a gym, and she looks like...
What?
Yeah. I know. I'm like, what? How did nobody notice? But I don't know if they're for real. Like, they could be photoshopped.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so nobody asked about the baby in the waiting room. Not a single person. The only one who did was the stepdad, actually. He was the only one who seemed genuinely upset and wanted to know about the actual baby. I would want to know. If my child just killed their baby, I would want to know kind of like what happened.
Okay, there's so many things going on here though. Sure, it's easy to look at this very surface level and like make a connection to this situation that there's a baby, but okay. Every single person is coming to terms mentally that there even was a baby.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is huge. That might even be harder for people to deal with than understanding a death, in my opinion.
They didn't even know a baby was there to begin with.
They're coming to terms with there was a baby, and now there's not a baby. And then on top of that, they're coming to terms with there was a baby, now there's not a baby, and it was caused by her.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
It is a lot, you're right.
So I wouldn't expect anybody to have any reaction.
Yeah, it would be very jarring.
I don't know if I would want to know. I would be shocked about every single one of those three things, and the last thing I want to know is like, humanize somebody that is already gone from somebody that I care about, and I just don't know if I would.
Literally, it was only alive for minutes. If minutes.
If minutes.
Yeah. So, Anyway,
I'm just glad that like she didn't end the baby like in a harmful way, like hitting it or something like that. I'm hoping that the baby passed gently. I don't know. I don't know how babies pass like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't have enough knowledge or experience,
okay?
I'm just thinking like there are situations where you have a miscarriage, okay? And they never had oxygen, so I'm hoping that it's like a very easy passing, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping maybe that was similar, I guess. I don't know. Just trying to...
I don't know. But...
I don't know.
Anyway, the officer looks at the young boy, that's her boyfriend, and is like, and you're dad, right? You're the father? And he's like, yeah. And so Rosa, Alexee's mom, is standing there, and the officer's standing opposite to her, and then between her and the officer is the boyfriend and the boyfriend's mom sitting next to him. And the boyfriend's mom and Rosa look at each other and smile and laugh. And are like, yeah, we get it. Like, you guys had sex. Like it's no big deal and like it's funny. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold up, come to a screeching halt. I was under the impression this was a very strict mother who, like, her daughter didn't trust her to tell her. And now she's joking about the fact, like, she just found out her daughter's not a virgin, got pregnant, and killed the child.
Even important?
Kind of.
Why? Virginity means nothing.
I feel like, no, it doesn't mean anything.
It's not important at all.
Duh. But I'm thinking this whole time that it's important to the mother. And that's why Alexee didn't trust her own mother to tell her. We're making assumptions
of that. How do you... Okay.
There's something suspicious about the mom.
Do I think there's something suspicious here? Maybe. But could we also be dealing with somebody where the mom really would have been understanding? There's no way to know.
I just think there's something super sus about the mom, is what I'm getting at.
Just based off hearing this and having my own experience with people who have been pregnant, pregnancy hormones mess you up, man.
But the mom isn't pregnant.
I'm not talking about the mom. I am talking about the pregnancy hormones because I think she is all the way 100% to blame. Maybe she couldn't come to terms with being pregnant, so maybe she could have been honest with her mom. I don't know.
No, I think Alexee is 100% to blame. She made the choice to do this. But what I'm saying is
but she's also kind of not to blame because, again, those same hormones create psychosis in people.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
They can.
So
proven
I'm just saying the mom kind of weirds me out. And I really want to, like, show you those videos so you can react to them because it's really just strange the way she interacts with her daughter. And, like, the cracking a smile after she talked about, like, you should have just... Maybe she would have been understanding because she said if you just would have told me. Like, I told you, just be honest with me. But maybe she creates an environment... similar to environments I've been in the past where someone says you can tell me anything, but then they're super judgmental. And I think parents can be guilty of doing that, of being like, oh, when you're drunk at a friend's house, you can call me and I'll pick you up and it'll be okay. Like, I just want you to be safe. But then when the kid actually does it, they get yelled at for 2 hours for drinking and being irresponsible. Mm-hmm. So then next time, they're not going to call you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
Maybe it's that type of situation.
I just don't want to automatically jump to blaming the mom directly.
I'm not.
Do I feel like that's possible? Absolutely, but the decision that was made here was...
Alexee's.
Yeah.
100%. But I just thought there was something weird about her. So Devin Fierro is the boyfriend.
Yep.
And they've been together for about 2 years. They're seniors. And it seems like they were like a really good couple. Like, I don't know. I don't understand. She seems like she's got a good guy.
Maybe he'll wait around for her to get out of prison.
But they're still together, I think.
Yeah. Maybe they'll wait around.
Yeah. They even went to prom together like a couple weeks after she got out of the hospital. Like,
She's out?
Yeah, she's out on the streets. So, but that's not to say she's not in trouble, because she is. I guess while all that was going on in the interview, a nurse went in. Actually, I think it was like a person who registers. You know how like you get the registration info for the baby and stuff? Like they need the name, they need like the dad and all that stuff. Yeah. They were going in there to fill that out for the birth and the death certificate, and they were told to like ask her if the baby ever took a breath. And so they go in there and they're like, Alexee, I need you to be like super honest with me. Did the baby take even one breath before you put it in the bag? And she said, absolutely not. It was not breathing. And then they asked her, like, do you want the the father to be on, like, do you want to put him down? And she's like for what? And they said for the birth and death certificate, and she said no. So she has been adamant this whole time that it didn't take a breath and that she had to poop and the baby fell out in the toilet and she saw it wasn't breathing and she put it in the trash. Yeah. Which, mind you, when a baby first comes out, it doesn't just breathe. Like, it's not like magic. Like, it doesn't pop out and go, yeah. They have to a lot of times clear fluid out from the lungs to get it to breathe. And sometimes they will do it on their own. They will start crying and do that process on their own. But sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. And they have to use a suction. So, anyway, an ultrasound tech went in and did an internal ultrasound to see if the placenta was intact. It was not, but there was like normal tissue and blood from having birth. Like, she in fact gave birth. Revelation. Right. But while she was in there, Alexee started confiding in her, kind of, and was like, I don't understand what happened. I'm a cheerleader and my clothes just started getting really tight and I thought I was just gaining weight and I was taking birth control and none of this makes sense. And she said it felt like she was, I feel like what she said wasn't really fair, to be honest, not completely fair, because she said Alexee 100% knew what she was doing. Like, I did not get the impression that she's like this scared little girl who didn't know what she was doing. I think she was like very, very much knew what she was doing. I don't think she did. Otherwise, there's other methods. Agree with you. Yeah. I don't think she knew exactly what she was doing. I think you have to understand, she was on morphine, yes, but she still felt things. Morphine is not like a nerve block, like an epidural. Like, you're still gonna feel things. She's drugged up. She's going through all of these chemical changes in your brain when you have a baby and are pregnant and evacuating the baby. Like, there's a lot going on there. Yeah. I do not think you can say it was that clear cut. Okay? Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Now, I still think she has to be held accountable. This is wrong, no matter what. Yeah. But anyway, I just think it should be under lighter circumstances. Like, I don't think it should be something like murder one or something like that. I don't. I'm pretty sure that's what she's charged with, is murder one. So, anyway, well, it'll be an easy fight for a defense if they get her a lawyer, though, honestly, because she has a lawyer, and they sent the baby off for autopsy right away, and it took a little bit to come back, but it did, and they determined from the autopsy that it was a homicide. The baby passed away from asphyxiation, and the cause of death was entrapment, which means you're stuck in a small space where you consume all of the oxygen and there's no more oxygen to be breathed. They confirmed that there was air in the lungs and the stomach. The lungs had been aerated. So, and that it had its first breaths after birth. It was 38 weeks, which is a totally viable, full-grown baby, and there were no anatomical abnormalities or physical injuries. It was stuck in a bag and suffocated to death. Mm-hmm. Well, so, that's sad. 2 people's lives could potentially be lost in this situation. It makes me wonder if, the scenario I said could have happened, where she thought it wasn't breathing because it hadn't gotten rid of the mucus and stuff, because they said it had mucus on its face.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder if like it coughed up the mucus after she put it in the bag, or if it happened before.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to remember,
did
20
she think,
minutes, very short time.
Did she think, it came out and it's dead, so maybe my life isn't over. I don't have to tell anybody.
She didn't. I don't think she thought anything.
Maybe. I mean,
but
anyway, she got discharged from the hospital and went to prom, and there's a picture, we can put it up, of her at prom. Mm-hmm. And then 4 months later, on May 10th, she was arrested, and they came to the house, and her mom was super combative. Like, why are you arresting her? Was she tampered with evidence at the hospital? Like, for what? Like, they were like, she's an adult, ma'am. We're not trying to search your property. You just have to tell her to come out here. We have a warrant for her arrest.
Yeah.
And they tell her it's homicide and tampering with evidence. And then they go inside. Well, she's like, okay. She eventually gives her up. And then they're like, well, wait, she's been bleeding. She needs pads. And a police officer walks in with her to get the pads. And as she's coming out, you see this mantle, mm-hmm. and it's literally like, it looks like a memorial with a name Alex, like, for the baby. And a lot of people have been speculating online that it looks a little weird, and we can put it up, and you can just come to your own conclusion about that.
I think I'm that adds to what I'm saying. I'm not going to psychosis.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what other people are saying, because people are saying some really crazy stuff, but you can think what you want about it. But anyway, she was arrested, then 1 week later put out on bail. She was permitted to finish school by the judge without house arrest, but has a curfew from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., allowed to go to Texas to see family, required to go to counseling, which is good, but another weird thing is she can't get pregnant by court order.
Yeah.
So October 2nd is court this year, and the crazy thing is this was like a safe haven hospital. She could have literally just dropped off the baby. And in New Mexico, there's a law saying that if you drop off a baby, you can't get in trouble at a safe haven location.
All of these things, though, are making the assumption that she made a decision. I don't think she did.
Well, another thing is abortion is like super accessible in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have parental consent if you're a minor, which she was an adult anyway. Like, she had many, 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 many options here and wasn't restricted much.
Yeah.
But her lawyer has come out and said he believes that the hospital committed malpractice, that they didn't tell her she was pregnant till after the bathroom, gave her morphine when they knew she was pregnant, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
And that she's a wonderful person. And, like, he seems like he's going to go really hard to try to defend her, and thinks that the hospital is actually the one at fault.
Interesting.
But this case is super crazy, and I don't even know what to think about it. Like, was she really afraid of her mom's reaction? I mean, or did she just not want to screw up her perfect idea of life and didn't feel comfortable getting an abortion?
I don't think it's any of that.
But she had
it's just
so much time.
Brain, dude.
Dude, she had so much time to figure it out.
No, she didn't. You're assuming that she knew she was pregnant.
So you think she genuinely didn't know?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe that.
But she was claiming she was a virgin.
Oh, I mean, just because someone is lying about sex in front of their parent doesn't mean they're a bad person and lying about everything.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I don't know how she could not know, to be honest.
It's happened thousands of times.
Do you think scoliosis, her back and her hip problems could actually make it more likely that she wouldn't know?
Nope, I don't think there has to be a reason at all. There's professional athletes that have carried a child to full term without knowing. Felt like they had to go to the bathroom, had the baby in the toilet. There's tons, hundreds of accounts of that happening. So I think that by by saying this, there's a chance we could be letting someone off. But look, I would rather be wrong about assuming the best about somebody than be wrong about blaming somebody.
That's a good point, but I just see it. I mean, I think the trial is going to be really important. Like, I'm curious what her defense is going to put up. But if she knowingly, like, and intentionally put an alive baby in a trash bag...
It doesn't sound like she did to me.
That's horrific.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like she did to me. It still had mucus on its face and stuff.
Well, you have the unpopular take.
Yeah.
Because people are online literally calling her a horrible monster.
I'm sure they are, but I'm going to take the logical take, not the emotional take, so...
Yeah. But let us know what you think about this. I'm going to stay up to date on it. Like, this is super viral, going on all over the internet. People are totally up in arms about it in a lot of ways and speculating about lots of little details. Some of them I just don't feel like it's beneficial to get into. I feel like they're unfair and unnecessary. Mm-hmm. But we'll see where it goes with court and what happens from here.
Absolutely.